Wednesday, January 17, 2024, Daily Bread. Title: Why Have You Disobeyed Me? Judges chapter 1, verse 27 to Judges chapter 2, verse 10. Key verse 2b. Yet you have disobeyed me. Why have you done this? But Manasseh did not drive out the people of Bethshan or Tanakh or Dor or Eblaim or Megiddo and their surrounding settlements, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that land. When Israel became strong, they pressed the Canaanites into forced labor, but never drove them out completely. Nor did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites living in Gezer, but the Canaanites continued to live there among them. Neither did Zebulun drive out the Canaanites living in Kitron or Nahalol, so these Canaanites lived among them. But Zebulun did subject them to forced labor. Nor did Asher drive out those living in Acco, or Sidon, or Alab, or Azkib, or Helba, or Aphek, or Rehob. The Asherites lived among the Canaanite inhabitants of the land because they did not drive them out. Neither did Naphtali drive out those living in Beth Shemesh or Beth Anath, but the Naphtalites too lived among the Canaanite inhabitants of the land, and those living in Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath became forced laborers for them. The Amorites confined the Danites to the hill country, not allowing them to come down into the plain, and the Amorites were determined also to hold out in Mounts Heres, Ajalon, and Shaalbim. But when the power of the tribes of Joseph increased, they too were pressed into forced labor. The boundary of the Amorites was from Scorpion Pass to Selah and beyond. The angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I brought you up out of Egypt and led you into the land I swore to give to your ancestors. I said, I will never break my covenant with you, and you shall not make a covenant with the people of this land, but you shall break down their altars. Yet you have disobeyed me. Why have you done this? And I have also said, I will not drive them out before you. They will become traps for you, and their gods will become snares to you. When the angel of the Lord had spoken these things to all the Israelites, the people wept aloud, and they called that place Bochim. There they offered sacrifices to the Lord. Daily bread. First, the Israelites compromised. God told the Israelites to conquer Canaan and drive out the Canaanites, but the Israelites compromised and let them stay throughout the land. As a result, the Canaanites would give a terrible spiritual influence, confusing and ensnaring God's people with their idol-worshiping culture. We should not compromise in our faith because it's so easy to stray off in the wrong direction. Sometimes we compromise by keeping our old worldly friends and habits, not realizing how they are influencing and steering us away from God. Are there hints of compromise in your life? Let's clear out sin and worldly influences so that we can wholeheartedly honor God. Second, God pointed out the Israelites' disobedience. As soon as the Israelites stopped turning to God, they started making unwise and harmful decisions. The worst part is that they were totally blind to it. God Himself had to point it out in them. Many times we are spiritually blind too. That's why we need help from God's Word and God's people to show us when there is something in our life that needs to be changed. It may be painful to have it pinpointed, But if we really love God, it hurts far more to know that He's hurt by our sin. We need a humble attitude to recognize when we are wrong and when it's time to turn back to God. Prayer. Lord, help me develop a heart that doesn't compromise, but focuses on obeying you completely. I want to be humble and accept spiritual correction so that I can grow and be closer to you. One word, don't compromise. Obey God with my whole heart.